So that's a bit of one of my tunes. It's called And They All Sang. I wrote it last year, and then it wound up on my most recent record, which is called Spry. And it has a kind of a particular sound to it that's bluesy, even though it's not a 12-bar blues. And when I wrote it, I wasn't trying to do anything in particular. It wasn't an etude, it was just a tune. I heard it in my head, I found it with my hands. And so I wrote it, I recorded it, and then I've subsequently played it with my trio. And as I've gotten to know it, maybe that's funny to say I recorded it before I really knew it, but that's how the process is for me. I write kind of quickly, I try to record as soon as possible, and then I go out and I play that music and I get to really know it. Maybe it would be better to get to know it and then record it, but that's not what I usually do. Anyway, as I got to know it, I thought, there's a kind of a sound there that is intriguing to me. What is it? Maybe if I understood it better, I could write more tunes using that sound, and maybe I could teach it. And so what I noticed was that the melody note is minor pentatonic. I mean, that's not even pentatonic, that's just a minor triad. But that I don't hear this as a song that's in a minor key. It's in a more of a dominant bluesy sound. The first chord is C7 sharp 9, and then G7 with the sharp 5, and then back to that C7 sharp 9, and then A flat 7. So again, C7, G7, C7, A flat 7. Those are all dominant chords, and on top of that are the notes from a C minor triad. And then the next phrase is this. Which now those melody notes are in G minor. You could say G minor pentatonic, or just notes of G minor 7, G minor, D7 sharp 9, G minor, or I should say G minor 7, and then this is a G7 sharp 9. It might not look like it, but that's what it is, at least for me. That's B is the third of G, F is the 7, the flat 7, and then this note is B flat, also could be thought of as A sharp. So if you know this G7 sharp 9 up here, I'm thinking about these three notes down an octave. Right, does that make sense? Just take the root off, move it down an octave. So that's G7 sharp 9. So a lot of colorful chords. And then the last phrase is this. A7 sharp 9, D7 sharp 9, A flat 7 with the 13 on top, G13 sus. So mostly dominant chords, but this real minor sound on top. And I thought there's something to that. So I wanted to make a lesson about it to try to organize my thoughts for myself and for you. So I've simplified this a little bit. I'm thinking about this is a really common chord progression: C7, A7, D7, G7. These are all just shell voicings: root 3, 7, root 7, 3, root 3, 7, root 7, 3. And this could be like an intro or an outro or just some kind of vamp. We've all heard something like that. But then if we want to add notes on top of these shell voicings, instead of taking them from the C scale, or instead of thinking about what scale works for each chord, C mixolydian, A mixolydian, D mix, not thinking that way at all. I'm just thinking C minor pentatonic, like. Because if we zoom out, the big key center is C. We're in C. And I want to use notes from the minor pentatonic scale of the home bass key, and see if I can get those notes sitting on top of these dominant chords. So what if we just start with C? That's the root of the minor pentatonic in C. Can we play a C7 with C on top? Well, here's one. Can we play A7 with C on top? Here's one. I'm not playing the root, but it would be here. That would be A would be the root. D7 with C on top. This is one. G7 with C on top could be this. That's like a G9 sus. Or it could be G7 sus. But I like it with that 9 in there, because we've got so much color on the A7. Let's keep some color on this G7 with the C on top. Okay, going up the minor pentatonic in C, the next note above C is E flat. So C with E flat on top could be this. A7 with E flat on top could be this, right? You know this chord. A7 flat 5. D7 flat 9. I'm barring here at the 4th fret. Pinky I'll tuck under just so you don't get confused. I'm not doing anything with my pinky. And G7 sharp 5, or you could say flat 13 sharp 5. Either way. So that's this again. Okay, we keep going up the minor pentatonic. Now we've got F. So maybe we'll do this chord for the C with the F on top. That's C9 sus, A7 sharp 5, D7 sharp 9, G7. I just played a plain old G7 here. If you want more color, you could make it flat 9. So I just moved G up to A flat. You could make it flat 9 sus. So now I'm playing G, A flat, C, F. You could make a little kind of pinky bar here and get this as like a D flat triad with G in the bass. Any of those would work for G7 with F. Or just plain old. That's fine. You don't always have to put hot sauce on every chord. Okay, we've done C, E flat, F. Next note going up the C minor pentatonic is G. So now here's C7 with G on top. I'm not playing the root. I'm just playing E, B flat, D, G. So that's a C9. There's other ways to play a C7 with G on top. You could make it C7 sharp 9, so this is like an E flat triad with E. But I like this since it's the one chord of the key. A regular 9 makes sense. It's in the key. And then A7. Let's try that kind of spicy one. So that's an E flat triad with A in the bass. So A7 flat 9 flat 5. And there's no third. So, and then D9 sus 4. That's the same as this, but I just wanted to show you that you could also play it here. So, and then for the 5 chord, G7 with G on top, let's do a tritone sub of the G7 and play D flat 9. So I'll make sure the camera's still going. Yeah, looks like we're good. So D9 sus 4, D9 flat 5, and this voicing has no third in it, although you could grab it if you want to. But I like it without that note. And then we need to also do one with B flat on top. So we've gone down through the whole minor pentatonic scale. So with B flat on top, I like this one. Again, there's no root. I'm playing E, then skip a string, D, G, B flat. This is A13 flat 9. You could hit the root, which is open, or hit it here, or just not play the root. And then if we go move these three notes down a half step, but keep the B flat on top, we wind up with D7 sharp 9 flat 13, and then we could play this G7 flat 13 here, E flat, or you could say sharp 5 if you call it D sharp. So all together, without all my talking, is this. So that's a pretty cool, we get a lot of interesting sounds that are all coming from the idea of just C7, A7, D7, G7. In the beginning, we were using shell chords with root 3/7 and putting other notes on top. Once we got up high, I let go of the root, and we got into some chords that are more suggestive of harmony, not so literal. So now, in each of those examples, the same note stays on top. C on top, E flat on top, etc. But now I want to make little melodies. So I'm going to play just these little 4 examples. So the first one keeps the E flat on top of everything, but I'll play it in time. 2, 3, 4. So that's C7 sharp 9, A7 flat 5, D7 flat 9, G7 flat 13. But now what if the melody was this? So it starts on E flat and goes up. That would give us this. And if you want to reverse that melody, we could do this. Now let's have the melody start on C and come down. So the B flat gets played twice, so we might do something like this, 3, 4. Again, these aren't the only chords you could use, or the only voicings you could use with those notes on top, but they're pretty common. This is just C7 with C on top, A7 with B flat on top. I'm playing A7 flat 13 flat 9. You could just use this voicing or this voicing. I'm moving the notes on this string. It could have F or F sharp or E. It doesn't matter as long as the B flat is on top. So we could go. And so in that one I did, that's just 13 flat 9. But when I thought of this example, I like this. You can use whichever one sounds good to you in the moment. And then lastly, what if the melody goes down? G, F, E flat, C. We could do something like this. Bring it in. One more time, I'll do it with a tritone substitution. So instead of A7, I'll play E flat 7, still with the F on top. And then instead of D7 flat 9, I'll play A flat 7. So check that out. In time. 3, 4. Yeah, so lots of possibilities here. I don't quite know what to call this other than what it is. It's minor pentatonic melodies with dominant 7 chords just moving around. In this case, moving around in something that's, you might call a turnaround, 1, 6, 2, 5, all in dominant. I'm thinking of it as a turnaround. It could be an intro, it could be an outro, it could be a vamp. It could be a fill if you just have 2 bars of C in a tune and it's just feeling dominant, like a dominant chord. Instead of just staying on C7 for 2 bars, you could do one of these. If you're with me on Patreon, you'll have a PDF with all of these examples. If you're not with me on Patreon, you've got me here on YouTube. You can slow the examples down, and I'm sure you can figure them out. I'm not doing any kind of real finger gymnastics. These, if you've been playing jazz and blues for a while, you'll probably know most of these grips. It's just a matter of organizing them and really thinking melodically. That's kind of the thing here. Not just that we're putting minor pentatonic notes on top of shell chord voicings, but also the whole thing is really driven by the melody. We're not making the chords from the bottom up. We're thinking top down, and that's a really important concept. If you want to get deeper into that concept, I highly recommend Tim Lurch's book, The Melodic Chord Dictionary. One of the few books I've seen that organizes chords from the melody as the starting point. Another book that does that really well is by Brett Wilmot. It's called Mel Bay's Complete Book of Harmony, Theory, and Voice Leading. And some of the chapters in Ted Green's book, Modern Chord Progressions, it escaped me there. Modern Chord Progressions, a lot of the stuff in there, not everything, is melody driven. So if this sound is interesting to you, you can either explore it on your own, or if you want some further guidance, I would check out any of those books. Thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. If you're not already subscribed, please subscribe, like, share, let people know that you find this channel valuable. And you could also join us over on Patreon. And you get PDFs and a whole lot of other stuff that's not on YouTube. So thanks so much.